It's a beautiful day, the sun is shining, and I'm here on the streets of what might just be my favourite city in the whole of Latin America. I say maybe because obviously I haven't been to them all, and there are lots more to go to. But in all my travels so far, this has always been the one that I've enjoyed being in the most. It's not the biggest, the most famous, the most beautiful or interesting, and yet it's got a certain something about it which I enjoy. And I was here 4 years ago and had a lovely time, and so let's look over here. On this trip I decided to come straight here. So I flew here direct from London to Madrid and then directly here. I only bought my ticket about 5 days before I left. I assumed I was going to have to go to the capital, but in fact I didn't need to. I found a direct flight with Air Europa and came straight here. We're walking now into the main plaza. See if you can guess where we are. So yeah, I was here 4 years ago. I studied a bit of Spanish when I was here and enjoyed my 2 weeks of student life. So this time round I've kind of done the same thing just to get my Spanish going again, since I haven't been on the continent for 2.5 years. So we're now merging into the main plaza and I'll reveal where we are. Just gotta cross this road. Right, here we go. So this is the main plaza. It's called Plaza San Martin, and one of the nicer plazas you've seen. And when I'm ever in a new town on this side of the world, the main plaza is usually where I head and then work my way out. And see the statue of come to that in a moment, and the main cathedral behind, and you can see the national flag, not fluttering, but yes, we are in Argentina, in the city of Cordoba, the second city of Argentina. Population about 1.5 to 2 million, so it's pretty big, and yet I like it because the city centre is quite compact and walkable, so you can just stroll around all day to your heart's content. Here we are, better view, national flag and the main cathedral behind. And here's a statue of Pablo St. Martin, the liberator of Argentina. Let's have a quick look. Make sure I've got it right. Plaza San Martin, yeah. Yeah, I've been waiting a while to make this video. Just waiting for the sun to come out, and it's Friday afternoon now, nice and lively. Got the city flag here on the right as well. Everyone's hanging out in the plaza, having a good time, feeding the pigeons as you do. So this is the main cathedral of the city. Obviously there were local people, local American indigenous people living here for thousands of years, but when the Spanish turned up early 1500s, they founded the city here, its main plaza, I guess. And the most famous people to come along shortly after that were these guys, the Jesuits. They are a Catholic order, and they came here in large numbers and built all these cathedrals. This is now known as the Jesuit block of Córdoba. So which way should we go? Let's go around the side. Paseo Santa Catalina. You can see that, a bit dark, isn't it? So yeah, the Jesuits came here, the Catholic order, and they were known for obviously their missions coming over and converting the local people to Catholicism and Christianity, and they also had a fairly good reputation for helping the local people, if you could say that, by providing jobs and labour, slave labour possibly, and setting up farms and getting them working and building up the economy in a more European manner. Trading, subject to books and films. Okay, here comes this little plaza behind. It's all very cute. This cactus over there. People playing chess in the streets. That was a monument to chess right here. That's how important it is. Over here there is a statue. I believe this is the Spanish founder of the city, Geronimo Luis de Cabrera, who was technically a conquistador, I would call him. Founded the city 1573, is that? So yeah, had their 450th anniversary in 2023, just last year. Right, we go this way or this way? Nice old churches. Bear in mind, most of the city does not look like this. We'll take look at a few more old buildings. But most of the city is pretty modern, big commercial hub. So we'll see a bit of that on this tour of the city centre. Just got another road to cross. Let's make a run for it. Right. See, if you're here, make sure you don't get caught out at the weekends. On a Saturday, things are open in the morning until like lunchtime. And then, sign just fell down. And then on Sunday, there's very, very little open. Just a few restaurants and cafes. But most of the time, the weekend is to be treasured with family and friends, not to be worked on 7 days a week. So here we are, one of the shopping streets in the centre. I read on the news, English language news, there was supposed to be a general strike today, protesting about the new government's austerity measures, but it doesn't seem to be happening here. Everything seems to be open as normal. I think markets for sale, trinkets to be bought. Police. So yeah, if you're worried about safety in Latin America, as a lot of tourists are from other parts of the world, so certainly Argentina is one of the safer places. I feel very safe in this city. Here's another old church. I mean, we're in the city centre here. In most Latin American cities, they're usually fine in the daytime, but at night, the centros, as they're called, they can be rather on the sketchy side. Usually all the nightlife and restaurants are usually in other areas around the city centre, usually more prosperous areas or residential areas, and the city centres kind of grind to a halt later in the day. But this is an exception, I would say. It's even quite bustling here in the evening. You can wander around. Maybe not too late. After midnight, you probably don't want to be hanging around here, but probably just no more than thieves hanging around looking for opportunities. But on the whole, Argentina is a pretty safe place, but they are experiencing economic problems at the moment, so that is something to be borne in mind. So we are now some more nice old buildings here. So the Jesuits, they obviously built a lot of these churches and old buildings, and then they founded their monasteries were converted into what is technically now called the Universidad Nacional de Córdoba. I believe it is in fact the oldest. Let's quick look in there. This is the oldest university in the whole of Argentina. And so yeah, Cordoba is famous as a university town. There are now 6, 7, 8 universities here, I believe. Huge student population. More trinkets for sale. And one vestige of that is all these beautiful old buildings in the town centre. These are all part of the main old university. See, we're still in the old town here, but later on we're going to go to the newer parts, have a look around there. What's going on in here? If we take a right here, this is a nice little street. Again, it's all part of the university these days. So yeah, Cordoba is nationally renowned university city, a centre of learning. Look up there. Huge student population, which of course means a lot of student nightlife as well. We'll have a look at that later. Let's have a look. Ooh, what's this? If we look down here, you can see, can you see through the glass, remains of some of these old Jesuit buildings. I think over here is a better spot. Ooh, not me. Come over here, there's a little display showing some of these old Jesuit monasteries, residential buildings. Not sure though. There's a key over here. Let's have a quick look. There you go. Small text. So, some more over here. Obviously tons and tons of museums as well on here. Art galleries. A lot going on. I went to all these art galleries when I was here 4 years ago. If you're into that, there's no end of possibilities. Right, we're going to come now to one of the main streets in the city. So the city, what I would call the city centre, is just to the left here. We'll come there in a moment. And there's 4 main roads going in and out of that central intersection, junction of the city. This is the north-south road. It's called Avenida Velez Sarsfield. You can see that. Let's make a run for it. Rather busy. Down there is the main square we'll come to a bit later. And you can also see this beautiful old building here. Noisy, apologies for that. So yeah, it does look a lot of kind of very European looking architecture here in Cordoba. You'll see even more in the capital, Buenos Aires. I'll have to go there again at some point. Of course, the modern country was founded by Spanish colonizers, 500 years ago, but there were vast numbers of immigration, particularly around the late 1900s, early 2000s, early 1900s I should say. Huge waves of immigration from Europe, particularly Italy. It's said to this day about, approximately 50% of the, blood and people come from Italy these days, in fact. So they do look a little bit different to the rest of the people in Latin America. There's a lot of Germans, people from the Middle East as well, like Syria, Lebanon. And quick example over here. There's a nice looking bun shop. This is a city of buns and bakeries and burgers, and they love the sandwiches. I often find myself eating a sandwich a day because in the daytime there's not much else to eat. They love their buns, croissants, media lunas as they call them. I'm sure we'll see more in a bit. Anyway, we're going to come up here to what is maybe my favourite little area or favourite street in the city. It's looking south, up to the north here. Let's cross. I'm not sure the individual names of the 2 roads either side, but the thing that I like about this part of the city is just over the road here. It's called La Cañada. We'll have a look at it in a moment. I can cross the road. It's beautiful views anyway. Over here is a hotel. This is actually where I spent my first ever 3 nights in Córdoba. I came here 4 years ago. First time I ever came here was with my father and my uncle for 3 nights, and we stayed here in the NH Hotel in a room of 3 beds, 3 guys. You see my uncle and my dad in their 70s. They like a beer, so we were drinking beer. And as you can imagine, there was not a lot of sleeping going on at night. Not because of any wild parties, just because of the constant use of the bathroom all night long. But we had a great time, and then I came back here about a month or 6 weeks later on my own and did my first ever Spanish language course. So a few memories here. Should we run over the road? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, here we are. This is a better view of La Cañada. La Cañada is not technically a river, more of a drainage canal, which doesn't sound very nice, but it's actually rather beautiful in my opinion. These lovely trees all the way across it, and it goes all the way down here to the river, which is to the north of the city centre. To the bridge. All these little plazas here on the left. There's Plaza Italia up there. There's a better view. There we are. So this can get pretty busy, pretty full of water when it rains a lot, but since I've been here there's been very little rain. In Cordoba, Cordoba is pretty much in the center of the country. And geographically, what would you call it? It's not really quite, it's kind of on the edge of the Pampas region, which is the kind of grasslands area around Buenos Aires and Uruguay, around there, which is where all the grass and grass-fed beef comes from, and the fields. It's kind of on the edge of that, but then we're certainly not in Patagonia, which is much further to the south of the country. And if you go further west, then you start getting into these real desert regions and the Andes Mountains. We're not quite there either. So Cordoba just kind of sits in the middle. So for many, it does kind of represent the heart of the country, heart of the people. So there's not a huge amount of indigenous blood in Argentina on the whole, but I think you certainly get more here than you would in Buenos Aires. I think the regions with the most local native blood are more in the northwest, Salta, Jujuy provinces, which I went 4 years ago. And over here we have one of 2 plazas. This is, see a sign anywhere? There's a nice sign. If you take a photo opportunity, Amo CBA. I love Cordoba. I assume that means. Here's the local city hall. There's a nice plaza up here. Let's have a quick look. This one to the south is Plaza de la Intendencia, Héroes de Malvinas. It's commemorating fallen soldiers from what they call the Malvinas War in 1982 at the hands of my lot. We call it, of course, the Falklands. These days it's a popular place, not so much this time of day, but if you come here in the late afternoon, early evening, there are a lot of people exercising here, hanging out, drinking maté. We'll have to talk about maté again at some point. I don't know what's going on here, but they're setting up for some kind of event or fair. Am I allowed through here? And we'll just have a quick look at the other plaza, which connects diagonally over here. This one is think the law courts of the country are just over here. I think we can go under that. Another beautiful old building here. So, yep, they love their plazas in this part of the world, and this area has more than most. Right, so perhaps I'll do a video here in the evening and show you what people are up to. Let's go this way. So yeah, why did I come here again straight away? It was my first destination after, well, it's 4 years since I was last here. I guess I missed Argentina for a number of reasons. I think if you're traveling in the region and you don't speak Spanish or Portuguese, I think Argentina is a kind of great place to start off your travels in the region. Feels a little bit more European to me than the other countries in South America, Latin America, for a number of reasons. Let's turn around here. See a lot of Italian immigration. They've got a lot of, European food here more than elsewhere. Lots of pasta, pizza. Of course, Colombia is famous for its meat, beef in particular. We'll definitely be talking about that more. And people of Argentina are a very nice bunch, in my opinion. Very friendly, very polite, very accommodating. They're happy to meet foreigners and try to practice their English, or let you practice your Spanish. So I kind of feels like the easiest country in the region. Easiest country for me to travel in, so it's a good place to start off. Having been away for so long, I thought I'd come back here just to find my feet again and get my Spanish going, and then I'll work my way up into other countries to the north of South America after this. Alright, coming back to La Cañada. If you're wondering, it's pronounced La Cañada. If you see it written, it actually looks a bit like Canada, but it's not Canada, it's Cañada. The N has a little squiggly thing over the top, which means it's pronounced like a nya sound. Cañada, not Canada. Definitely not that. Yeah, I love the way all these trees kind of hanging over it. They all seem to be let's come over here. See the trees? I like the way they all kind of bend slightly over the river here. I don't know if the gardener did it like that on purpose when he put the trees in. It's just naturally they've bent over that way, but it gives it a rather nice framing all the way along. Right, heading south. We're going to go to the main junction of the city next. I like these little streets here. There's a bunch of bars here. These will open up in the evening. Bear in mind the nightlife in here doesn't tend to really get going till pretty late. It does feel a little bit Spanish in that respect. A lot of the good restaurants don't open until 8:30 at night. So if you're hungry and you want a nice meal, you don't have to wait a while till you eat. Before 8:30, what you're going to get is just the usual standard fare of, sandwiches, croissants, media lunas, empanadas, Milanese steaks, which are battered to within an inch of their life, served with breadcrumbs. And yeah, the bars, the cool bars don't really get going until much later as well. Alright, we're going to cross the road and head to the main square of the city over here. It's old Panther Bar over there. I'll tell you a few stories about Panther Bar. Well, we were just talking about the Malvinas earlier on. Some of my British friends, they ask me if I get a negative reception here, being British, from the locals due to the events in 1982, and I say no. Everyone's pretty cool about it. Certainly the young people, you know, they know about it, but they're not really going to antagonize you or see you in a negative light because of it. The only time I had a weird incident was actually in this bar, the Panther Bar. The only Panther Bar. It's a great place. If you're a middle-aged man, you want to drink some beer on your own, watch the football, it's a great place to do it. Open 24 hours. But one time a homeless man, he must have been in his 60s, he came in and was asking for money from the patrons, and the waitress, who knew vaguely who I was, told him in Spanish that no, he doesn't understand you, he's from England. And the man took exception to this, pulled up his shirt, he had a big scar on his abdomen there, and started shouting at me angrily. And the staff eventually pulled him out of the restaurant. He came back about 50 minutes later and threw a paper note at me, and the note said something about Malvinas, so I assume he was a veteran of the war. But in all my months travelling in Argentina in the past and now, that was the only weird negative incident I've had. So yeah, keep an open mind, and you'll find out the people here are actually a lovely bunch. Very polite, friendly and charming. So we are heading now to the main square. I do have one funny, weird little story. Where are we here? Oh, it's the travel store here. 4 years ago I used to come here, and I used to come and stand in front of this poster. The same poster is still here 4 years later, and as all my friends in Thailand will know, this is of course Thailand. I believe that's Koh Gai, is it? Or Koh Poda in Krabi. Maybe this picture was taken at Riley Beach, I believe. So when I was here 4 years ago, sometimes I used to come and stand next to this poster, reminisce about my times in Thailand. Beautiful. See, it's on the other side of the world from here though. Right, here we are, the main square. I've asked quite a few people, and I've looked on Google Maps and elsewhere, and it doesn't actually have a name. But as far as I'm concerned, this is the kind of center of the city. If you want to know what to call it, the best name is the name of the shopping center over here, which is called Patio Olmos. Patio Olmos. I'm not sure what that means, but that is the main kind of shopping center in the city center here. So most people refer to this square as that. Some nice little places to sit under the trees. And yeah, from here they got four main, well, more than that, there's a bunch of roads, but there's four roads going. There's one to the north there. This way we just come is heading west. Of course, east is that direction, and this main road is heading south. So yeah, from here you can pretty much go in all directions from the city centre. This is where the kind of heartbeat of the city is. Nice place to walk around, hang out, see what people are doing, people watching. Let's cross the road while we can. There's a nice little cafe there I like to go to sometimes. Watch the world go by. It's a very European looking place. Let's have a quick look down here. This direction, there's not going to be much to see at this time of day, but I'll mention it quickly. Down here is the area known as Güemes, like a G-U-E-M-E-S. The U has two little dots over it, which means something. And this is probably the most well-known nightlife area in the city. but at this time of day there's not going to be much going on. We'll have a quick look anyway. Alicia Argentinas. Nice fruit and veg store. So yeah, they do have chain stores here. Over here you can see a Buenos Dias. It's actually closed down for some reason. Is it? Oh, maybe it's open. Buenos Dias, which is kind of the 7-Eleven of Argentina. But they do have other brands and so on, but they also like to have their rather kind of more traditional, family-run, small stores selling, you know, one product only. Sometimes if you want to have a coffee in the morning, you can have a coffee. If you want to have a sandwich, you have to go to the sandwich store. Sometimes the coffee stores will only sell little buns. Or if you go to the supermarket even, you can buy everything you want there, but then if you want to buy some bread there, they won't sell much bread. Because you've got to go to the baker to get the bread. And if you want a good fruit and veg, you've got to go to the fruit and veg store. And so on and so forth. Which is kind of nice. Apparently they're not such big fans of sucking from the corporate teat as we are in North America and Europe. It's one of the reasons I like Argentina. I think it's got this kind of old-fashioned, traditional kind of feeling about it. I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but it kind of reminds me of the 20th century in a lot of ways. Having grown up in the 80s and the 90s, it kind of feels a little bit nostalgic coming here. And you know, people aren't buried in their phone all the time like they are elsewhere, and there's still a bit of an old-fashioned kind of family oriented culture, which is nice. People are polite and friendly to one another. It just kind of reminds me of the old days. I think it might be one of my favorite reasons for hanging out in Argentina. So yeah, Patio Olmos is now down that way. We're just going to keep going. So we're heading south now on this diagonal road, which goes down to a large park in the south of the city called Park Sobremonte or something. Apologies if I got that wrong. Let me have a look. There's a large park in the south of the city, and it is called Park Sarmiento. So this is the quickest way there. And as you can see, maybe from the buildings, it looks a little bit more modern here. This area is called Nueva Córdoba. This is the more new town. So yeah, the north side of the city where we started, that is more old Cordoba. This is new Cordoba. This is maybe the glitziest street in the city. And a lot of students living in this area as well. I think the university is to the south here. And we're going to keep going. There's another landmark just up here on the left we're going to check out. I think we'll end the proceedings there. You can see the crowds on this side of town are much younger, cooler, trendier. Some other fancy looking restaurants over there. And we're going to be heading over to this area here, if you can see. And across. Let's go for it again. They don't have any lights for pedestrians here, you just got to follow the main lights and hope for the best. Alright, this is Buen Pastor, which is like a kind of multi-use building, a cultural centre. And behind it is another church, a much more modern church. I think it was only built like 100 years ago. And let's run over here. This is a popular place for people to come and hang out, drink the maté. I was thinking from this angle, this building really does look very similar to a mosque, with a church behind it, which is interesting. Definitely isn't a mosque, but that kind of white dome does give it the impression. Perhaps there's some architectural influence there. And this is a popular place for people to come and hang out day and night. I can't see any maté drinkers, which is surprising. Normally there's 100 of them here. Maybe it's the wrong time of day, but maté is like very, 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 very important thing for Argentinian people. When I first came here, I was actually in Uruguay before I came to Argentina the first time, and it's popular there too. I saw these people walking around with these kind of bowls with these green herbs in it and these pipes coming out of it. And I thought, there's some kind of like smoking device going on there, but like Gandalf's kind of Gandalf's a weed pipe or something, I don't know. But no, it is in fact a drink. And if you look around, you'll see people hanging out with their friends, drinking it in cups. They'll often, for reasons I've never quite understood, they like to go out with it and take it with them everywhere they go all day. So they have their thermos flasks full of hot water and their box of maté, which is, you know, it's like a green tea, similar to green tea but a different plant. And they take it with them, and it's very, very important to them. They like to drink it together, communally, which is nice. See, tea and coffee drinking around the world has always been ritualistic with people around the world. But maté is definitely a huge thing here in Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, perhaps even South Brazil as well, in the southern part of the continent. So if you ever meet any Argentinians and they invite you to drink maté with them, it's a great honor. You should go along, try it. I've had it a few times. It's very strong, kind of bitter flavor, similar to green tea, but even stronger, I'd say. And you all drink it together from the same cup. Various other kind of unwritten rules that go along with it. So we'll save those for another day. And it means a lot to the people here. So if they're not out drinking alcohol, you sit around with your friends and drink maté instead. Okay, finally, here we are. The Iglesia del Sagrado Corazón. It's constructed in 1934, so yeah, this is a pretty modern church by church standards. It's all locked up today for some reason. I think it's technically unfinished as well. Got a nice little place to end the video. Of course, you can carry on up this road. Eventually you'll get to the park, which kind of delineates the south of the city centre. I think we're going to go all the way there. It's quite a long way, but it is a really nice park. It's huge. You can spend a long time wandering around it. So yeah, this is a little glimpse into Córdoba, the second city of Argentina. I mean, why do I like it so much? It's just a kind of combination of things, really. Just the Argentinian culture, and it's fun, you know. There's a lot of bars, a lot of restaurants to be had. One little negative criticism I would give of Cordoba is that the restaurants, he says, walking past the restaurant, the restaurants here are not as good as in Buenos Aires, maybe not as good as other more touristy towns I've been to as well. In Argentina, there don't seem to be a huge number of parrilla restaurants here. Parrilla being the kind of barbecue meat places which Argentina's famous for. I think that's more of a Buenos Aires thing. I asked a couple of people why there aren't so many here, and I was told that they prefer to cook it at home, go out into the country with all their own barbecue gear and do it there. Because I guess in Buenos Aires people live in apartments and stuff, so it's harder to make these themselves. But other than that, it's a great city. You've got the Güemes nightlife area, that side of the new town, and Nueva Córdoba, there's a lot more areas there at night get very, very lively. I can testify that the nightlife goes on very, very, very late. I know that because I'm staying next to Güemes at the moment. From Wednesday to Saturday, I can hear music outside going until 5 a.m. in the morning if I'm unfortunate enough to be awake at that time. But it's good to see everyone having a good time, so I don't mind too much. Oh, cute. Still going? Where are we? Some nice historical buildings down the south end of town here. Police headquarters. Scaled up by a man there. Keep him off the camera. Here is I think it's an art gallery. I remember going here 4 years ago on a school trip when I was studying here. There's some modern art in there and older stuff. Ah, here's a bar, Checha. I have been there a few times recently for the Mundo Lingo events. This is Mundo Lingo is an international organisation that does language exchange meetups in bars, which kind of start off as language exchange meetups. People practicing their languages together, be they tourists or students or locals, and after a few hours everyone starts drinking heavily and it all deteriorates into a bit of a party. Yeah, they do them over there on Thursday nights, and another one in a place called Cordoba in Güemes on Wednesday nights. So yeah, I think I'm not sure if Cordoba is the best place to learn Spanish in Latin America for a couple of reasons, but it's certainly one of the most fun. Being a big student city, you'll meet a lot of people who want to hang out, practice your Spanish or their English with you. Loads of Brazilians here studying Spanish as well. If you're studying language school here, you'll probably find most of your classmates are going to be Brazilian. That's why I said it might not be the best place to study Spanish, because you're picking up a lot of Portuguese or Portuñol, which they call the mixture of Spanish and Portuguese that learners tend to mix together. There's also issues with the Argentinian accent, which is a little bit unique. If people from Buenos Aires might take issue with the accent in Cordoba, which is also unique from their accent as well. But at my level, which is very basic, I don't think it really matters too much, since I'm just grappling with the basics. So I think this is Plaza España.